Hey guys, how's everybody today? Good afternoon. If you can hear me okay, please shout out in the chat because we have been having a couple of microphone issues the last few days. So I just want to make sure that that is all squared away. So, hope you're all well. And I think we're just getting ready. Give me 1 second here. Hey Adam, hey Mark, how you guys doing? Dylan, Mike's, Robert, good afternoon. Here we go. Okay, cool. I think we're all set. I was just quickly, I will just finish what I was doing. I was quickly putting the lists for today's list, the list for today's show in on here. So I guess if anyone wants to follow along with today's lists, they can do so as well. And today's lists were submitted by 3D Explorer. We've got Alitan, we have Connor Cahill. So this should just let you find any of the lists if you're interested in, or if you're catching it on the replay. I was trying to be prepared today, but I was having some problems again. This computer has been giving me all sorts of problems. And we've got Martin Casey, and then finally we've got one more. So we'll be doing 5 today as we normally do, and Norm Fang Sucks. Strange name, but okay. I don't know who Norm Fang is, but I guess he sucks. Okay, and then I guess the thing to talk about as well, so all the lists are there in the comment section for the YouTube video, so if you want to follow along or grab any lists, you can do that. And then if we look ahead, so next week, something just to say real quick. Alright, cool, we got people tuning in on Twitch and YouTube today, so that's cool. Something to say is, like, we're getting a lot of submissions now, right? Like, I think I've had like 15 or 20 submissions just this week. So we're going to give some priority to members. So I guess if you're a member of the channel, and how you become a member is you click that big join button underneath the video. If you are a member of the channel, then in the near future, I guess you will get a bit of priority in the queue. So you don't have to wait like 3 weeks if there is a large backlog of lists. So next week we have Ray, Ollie, Ian, Mark and Northern Hero. And then beyond that, we've got Joe, Jonathan, Justin, Ram, and Reziel. That's 2 weeks ahead, and now we've got 3 weeks ahead lists. So yeah, I mean, the way to get your list submitted is over in the community tab of the YouTube channel. You can put your list in there, and we will review it. And yeah, I guess just because we've been getting so many lists in recently, then I guess what the thing to say is that if you want to like get your list reviewed more quickly, then I guess you need to think about becoming a member. So that's where we are. But we'll still do non-member lists every week. We'll just try and give the members a bit of priority because they're the ones that are helping out in the channel. And in the very near future, we're going to do quite a big giveaway on the channel. So I mean, if you are new or you're considering joining us for the first time, then please consider subscribing, because we do a lot of Blood Angels content on here. And also, yeah, we've got, I think our giveaway is going to be all the new kits that came out this week. So I think it's going to be Blade Guard Veterans, it's going to be Eradicators, and it's going to be even the new Storm Speeder. You cannot see YouTube comments until the stream is over. Well, that is very annoying. But thanks for pointing that out to me. So I guess the comments are only really useful if you're on the catch-up. Yeah, good evening then. More people in are filtering. We've got Tony, Tom. I don't think I've seen you before. Tom, welcome to the stream. Adrian, Adam, Dylan, Julian, Gitley. Oh, Normfang, you're in the chat, so nice to see you. Brian, and yeah, cool. A lot of people tuning in today. So I know there is some other live Blood Angels games going on as well today, so I appreciate you guys choosing to be here over on Twitch. Sorry, we're not on Twitch, we're on YouTube mainly. I appreciate you guys being over here with me. So, yeah, so we're going to start with this list from 3D Explorer. And hopefully... hopefully we can put in some good analysis on the lists. And then the other thing to say about last week's video about the competitive list, actually, it was super popular. So we might look at a tournament winning list this week, like on Tuesday or something. So if you're still struggling on making an army list, or you want to know some of the best options, then I think one of the guys in the chat, Mark Fairbrother, actually sent me over, I believe, a tournament winning list. You cannot become a member through iOS mobile because Apple would take a cut and Google wants to avoid that. Oh really? Okay, I didn't know that. So if you're watching on your phone, you cannot become a member. Okay. Yeah, corporate reasons, I guess. Okay, so cool. Then let's get into this first list and let's see where we are. Alright, cool. Thanks for the follow, brother. Appreciate that. So, hope this format correctly. Not what I would normally run as a list, but I think it's obvious anti-20 Necron Warrior bias will be in the list. Razorbacks are there for anti-vehicle. If I need, for the las cannons, switch assault cannons for even more warrior mow down. I don't do Facebook, so I hope this works as a sub. Let me know if you're planning on reviewing it, as I'm having Sunday stuff pop up again. Out 10th of January and for at 31st for sure. Well, I guess you'll have to catch it on the replay because we're doing it today. Okay, keep up the good content. Good evening. Alitan, your list is up next, and then I think maybe Jonathan, we said that your list was going to be in a couple of weeks. Jonathan Torres, yeah. Okay, so first list of the day then. And I guess if there's any rules questions or any Blood Angels general questions in chat, then we'll definitely try and answer those as well. I'm wondering how a Leviathan Dreadnought with twin storm cannons would work out against Eradicators. That's a good question. I mean, a Leviathan Dreadnought with Gravflux cannons does okay against Eradicators. I think I've previously done some math hammer on that. Do you know what? Someone was asking me if I can revisit Leviathan Dreadnoughts now that we've got new rules for them. So maybe we'll revisit Leviathan Dreadnoughts along with... maybe we'll just have a Friday Tactics video that we look at Dreadnoughts again. We never really looked at Contemptors in terms of tactics, and I guess they've all changed a bit as well. So maybe we'll have a Friday video where we look at various different Dreadnoughts and do some math hammer and help you out with your options. So, alright, this first list, we start with a captain on a bike who is part of the Death Company, who has the Hammer of Baal, the Storm Shield, and the Thunderhammer. 150 points is not the cost of this, is it? Yeah, maybe actually it is, yeah, because the Thunderhammer on a captain costs 20 points. Yeah, maybe that's right. Okay, so we have the captain on the bike, and then we have Lamartes. I mean, that seems a bit strange taking two Death Company, but maybe this is a very Death Company focused list. I guess we'll see. Two Death Company Dreadnoughts, both with the Furioso Fist, the Melter Gun, the Smoke Launcher, and the Storm Bolters. The actual Blood Talons aren't that much more expensive, right? And they're is it like 10 points more for Blood Talons? Death Company Dreadnought. Yeah, 10 points more for Blood Talons. And what is the difference between the Blood Talons? You just get to reroll hits or something, right? Or it used to be reroll hits and wounds. Now the Blood Talons are... Each time attack is made with this weapon, you can reroll the wound. So it's strength plus 4, so it's strength 10, reroll wounds. And you lose 1 point of AP. Okay. I guess that's sort of interesting. Would you pay 10 points to reroll wounds on something that's probably going to be wounding on 2s? You know, maybe it's not worth it to have the Blood Talons anymore. Alright, so we got two Death Company Dreadnoughts, we got Death Company Intercessors, and this isn't going to be a battalion by the looks of things. Right, okay, so it's a Vanguard force. We have 10 Death Company Intercessors with chain swords, and like the sergeant with a power fist. Then we have regular Death Company Marines. This is going to be a 10-man squad with 2 Thunderhammers. Actually, it might not be 10 because Thunderhammers are 15 points, so 10 would be 280 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think this is incorrect. I think it should be 280 points. You know, he had actually got 10 points spare at the top of his list, so I mean, I guess that's he's just made a mistake there. No problem. So 10 Death Company Intercessors, 10 Death Company Marines with jump packs, another 10 with jump packs, 2 Thunderhammers, another 10 with jump packs, 2 Thunderhammers. Alright, this list is crazy. 2 Dreadnought drop pods, and then 2 Razorbacks with twin las cannons. So basically, what, you've got 30 Death Company troopers with jump packs. Is that right? 30? Yeah. 30 with jump packs, 10 regular Death Company Intercessors, 2 Death Company drop pods, 2 Death Company characters, and 2 Razorbacks. Interesting list. Good evening, Krychek. How are you doing? Adam says, a Relic Mortis Contemptor, same ballistic skill and his core. Relic Mortis Contemptor. Does that still exist, or has that gone Legends? With a Tech Marine it can hit on 2s. Yeah, I mean, I commonly run a Tech Marine, and I didn't actually realise until recently that the Primaris Tech Marine, his basically heavy bolter is an assault version, so he can... The problem with the Tech Marine is he usually has to advance to keep up with the vehicle or the dreadnought or whatever, so by having an assault gun, then he can basically just run around behind it advancing and shooting his bolter, so that's pretty decent. The Leviathan can activate Wisdom of the Ancient but cannot benefit from the aura. Thanks for clarifying that. I wasn't actually sure. This list is 10 out of 10. Love it. I've written a very similar one. Feels like someone wanted to paint black and kick ass in melee. Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody wanted to paint black. So the Razorbacks, I guess, are a little bit questionable because we've got no troops that can go inside them, right? Because everything has jump packs, and I'm pretty sure Razorbacks only carry unjumpable models. But I mean, I guess he's just taking them from the twin las cannon. Is there better ways to spend 260 points and get some shooting? Maybe. You know, maybe we could have some Eradicators, and maybe with this many Death Company in that, maybe you want like 1 squad of Eradicators, 1 squad of Suppressors, so that like your Suppressors could just turn off a ton of the Overwatch, or maybe not a ton, but a ton of different Overwatch potential, right? But yeah, this is a very different list of what we normally see, and I mean, it's got a decent amount of Thunderhammers, and it's got like a ton of chainsword attacks, and I mean the Dreadnought drop pods to just generally be a bit of a pain. I mean, you've got no obsec, so that might hurt you, and I mean I feel like some of our strongest choices right now are in the HQ role, right? Like, a lot of people obviously fill the HQ role with the Sanguinary Priest. With a list with this many Marines in it, and this many close combat Marines, I feel like you'd want a Priest, like... Because there's a lot... You know, the Priest could do a lot of work here, bringing people back alive, healing up wounds. I mean, with the Death Company and the Feel No Pains, I guess the 6+ Feel No Pain that the Priest gives is not going to be so important, but the healing and the resurrecting would probably be still quite important. Yeah, and I mean, we could have some sort of, you know, you could almost take 2 Lost Lieutenants. I really like the Lieutenant that you get in the Indomitus box, who's like 90 points and has the Storm Shield and that 2 damage Power Sword and that potentially 4 damage pistol. So, I mean, we could take a couple of those lieutenants in this list, and they can generally just cause a bit of havoc up in melee and stuff like that. And I honestly don't rate suppressors outside Ultramarines. I mean, 1 squad of suppressors I think is okay. Like, I wouldn't recommend more than 1, and I mean, it just you know, like he said he was going to be up against 20 Necron warriors. Well, if those Necron warriors have those Gauss cannons, which potentially gives each group of 20 Necron warriors 40 shots. 40 shots on Overwatch, you're going to roll some sixes, right? And I mean, I guess the number of sixes you roll out of 40 dice would be like 8 or something. So, I mean, there's still potential to kill a few models from Overwatch with the Necrons. So, interesting and very different list. So, we'll score this list straight away. I mean, the tactics for this list, I think, are pretty simple. You know, like, it's just going to be get into your face and there isn't any other tactic than you need all these units in melee as quickly as possible, really. I mean, bolt pistols never. I mean, bolt pistol. I say they never kill anyone. I mean, they kill very little or few, and you have a couple of pop shots from the Dreth Company dreadnoughts with their melta-guns, but it's all going to be about getting in melee and just making sure you can engage it. The horror of watching Vanguard Tactics play the Blood Angels list: jump 30 Sangori Guard forward and leave them in mid-board in front of Retributioners and Repentia in turn 1. Yeah, that's not how you play Sangori Guard at all. They'll get absolutely wrecked by Repentia. Do they even get a save against Repentia, or is it like it's going to be a 5+ save? Ugh. And every... Those Eviscerators, are they 2 damage each? I feel like they are. It's been a little while since I've run up against Repentia. Yeah, 2 down. So each... And Repentia gets some stupid rule where they can re-roll all their hits or something and all their wounds. I don't remember what... It's one of these things. Maybe I'm not seeing it here, but yeah, there's definitely an order for the sisters where they can re-roll all their hits and wounds. So, like 10 Repentia can probably murder like... How many attacks was it they get? Probably 2 or 3 potentially on the charge. 30 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. Yeah, I mean, and saving on 5s. Yeah, they could easily murder 10 or 15 Sangori Guard. The only risk is the strats that benefit Death Company can only be used once and once per turn. So, yeah, I mean, that is true. I mean, the only other strat you'll get really is Transhuman, which I guess you could use on these one squad of Death Company Intercessors. But yeah, and I mean, the Death Company Dreadnought has access to Smokescreen. Yeah, okay, so you've got a couple of things, but they also explode when they die to do mortal wounds. Lost an 8-man. I've never fought against exploding Repentia. I've had Repentia where they've been able to re-roll all their wounds or their hits or something like that, and I've also had it where they have exploding 6s. How do unarmoured sisters get 5+ feel no pain and Death Company Marines only get 6+ feel no pain? Games Workshop. Yeah, I mean it's time for it's time for Blood Angels to get some love, I think. But yeah, okay, so let's score up this list, and it is very different. So objective holding is not going to be strong on this list at all, right? Like, it's just not what this list is designed to do. So I guess we're going to say like a 6, or maybe even go lower. Anti-infantry, I mean, you're going to be able to kill infantry with loads of chainswords that you have, but if the enemy has proper good screening and you're not able to get into key targets, then the list is going to do poorly again. So I think we're like on a 7.5. Again, we probably have enough to kill vehicles, but we're just going to be running across the list, running across the battlefield, sort of hoping to get into combat, which is, I guess, not ideal, if you ask me. So, I mean, maybe it's an 8, but I think more likely it's going to be 7.5. I mean, mobility-wise, we can't really fault it, right? Like, loads of jump packs. The only squad that's not quote-unquote mobile is probably going to be the Death Company Intercessors, and I guess if they wanted to, they could Furlong Fury. And then we have we have 2 drop pods for dreadnoughts as well, so they're super mobile. So let's say like 8.5, and then specialization. Usually, if a list focuses too much in a certain aspect, then it will get a lower score, right? Like if the list is going to be specialized at killing one army but poor at killing another army, then it gets a lower score. And I guess this is a list where I feel like I've never run it, obviously. Like it's basically 2k points of Death Company. But I mean, it could be quite a fun list, and I'm sure it could win some games, but it is very, very specialized. So we say like a 6 or something. And I think that is list number 1. I mean, it's not a serious enough list for me to be able to really give it a proper final score, I feel like. I hope that's fair to say. Rerolls on hits, we're -4, I think, in 2 damage. Yeah, so yeah, those Repentia will absolutely destroy Sanguinary Guard. This is what I was saying about as good as Sanguinary Guard are, you need to be the one that dictates who gets to charge. And this is also why you need the ability to make units fight last or being able to fight first, because Sanguinary Guard are only strong if they make the charge or they have the option to fight first. If they have to fight last, they can be in a real big problem. A 2+ save isn't that good anymore, right? Because you've just got too many guns now that are running around with, like you said, like sisters with chainswords with -4. And Repentia are how many points per model? It's not a lot, right? 16 points per model. You know, like they're less than half the price of Sanguinary Guard, and they're running around with fucking -4 AP, you know? So I think I mean, this is a little bit off topic for this list, but I think it's super important for your Sanguinary Guard to be the ones dictating when they're fighting, right? Like, if you're not dictating when the fight is happening, then you can have a really big problem with the Sanguinary Guard. I'd rate this list as a 10 in points and fun to play. Yeah, I mean, maybe fun to play, but it might also be frustrating to play in that just everything is, you know, there's just one tactic. Invulnerable saves are where it's at now. Yeah, I mean, I guess if anyone tuned into the stream I did last night, you'll see that I'm painting up 7 Blade Guard veterans just because I want to hold the middle of the game board, and I want to hold the middle of the game board with a bunch of guys that have storm shields that are super durable, and Blade Guard veterans fit that bill really strongly for me. I also think I'm going to probably have a priest in there with those Blade Guard veterans, keeping them healthy, resurrecting one every turn, and later in the game the priest could jump off and join the Sanguinary Guard or Death Company as needs be. Alright, so list 1, 3D Explorer. I hope that was useful. A bit of a different list than what we normally see. Okay, second list up is going to be Alatan, and he says, "Greeting brothers, my final update from my Sunday review, I promise. My Necron friend is bringing a very scary Illuminator Serras, as well as the Command Barge, Doomstalker, and 40 warriors plus 10 immortals, so I want to bury him in plasma to stop the reanimation and get up close at the same time. That's why I gave my Leviathan the Siege Claw, plus some other changes." Okay, cool. Right, so this is a 2,000 point battle, and we start the list with 8 CP. That seems a little high, but I mean, it's fine. I was speaking a little bit in the stream last night, saying as well that, you know, like, where we are right now, there's so many ways to take relics. Like, you can actually put 5 relics into a Blood Angel's army at the start of the game, and then those relics are on the board the entire game, giving you value, as opposed to like a 1 or 2 CP you might spend in a single turn that just gives you an advantage for that one turn or phase. So yeah, it might be worth, like, you have 1 additional relic, but we could throw a bunch of different ones in here. Alright, so let's start. We've got Captain in Terminator Armour. He has the Selfless Battler, the Storm of Fire. Don't run Storm of Fire very often, but I believe that's the one that gives units around you an additional -1 on their AP when shooting. Let me double check that. I've never run the Storm of Fire. If a unit is within 6 of this warlord, each time that unit makes a range attack on an unmodified roll of 6, improve the armor penetration by 1. I mean, it seems like a strange choice, but okay. We've given him the Angel's Exemplar, so he can have the Indomitus armor. Why would you have Indomitus armor when you have when he's already in Terminator armor? I guess for the +1 wound. Thunderhammer, and he's coming in with this Inceptors to defend them. So you've got Selfless Valor, so you can try and heroically intervene, and you've got Indomitus Armor, so you've got +1 wound, because the 2+ save you would get from Indomitus would be wasted. I mean, I guess you do have the 3+ for a single phase invulnerable save, but like maybe there's a better option here where if you really feel like you need Selfless Valor, then maybe take Iron Resolve? Because you could take Iron Resolve here and use Angel's Exemplar to take Selfless Valor. Iron Resolve give you +1 wound and a 6+ feel no pain, which is kind of possibly better than the Indomitus because it's going to last the whole game rather than just the one phase. I also wonder, like, if you're dropping in plasmas, they're already... Inceptor's plasmas are already minus... What? Are they -3? I felt like they were -4, but I better just double check. I don't use Inceptors all that often. They math hammered really well in last week's video, but personally I don't like plasmas all that much because I hate the fact that it's really risky firing them on high power, and I'm all about... Okay, so they're -3, so you're taking a Warlord trait that makes those plasmas -4 on rolls of 6s. Again, I'm not sure there's a huge amount of strength there. I mean, we'll see how many Inceptors are in this list. Alright. Librarian, Terminator Armor, Veil of Time, Might of Heroes, Force Sword, Icon of the Angel. Okay, so Veil of Time to be able to do that. Always fight first, but it seems strange to not take Null Zone at this point. And I mean, you could actually just pay an extra CP and take the relic, the Tomb of Malachor, and have the ability to get Null Zone, right? I dislike Libby's in competitive play. Powers are too unreliable for me, but yeah, it might be useful to pass up. I mean, the way to make them more reliable, right, is to make them Chief Librarian and take the Psychic Mastery Warlord trait, and then most of the time their powers are going off in 5s. I don't know. Let me just double check. If you have to... Let me check any dice. If you have to roll a 5 on 2 dice... any dice. Roll 2d6. And we need at least 5. So it's an 83% chance. And if we do a reroll on that... so we reroll 2s, 3s, 4s... I mean, 97% chance. So yeah, with Psychic Mastery, if your warp power is charge 6, then if you're going to use your reroll if you're going to use your command reroll on the Psychic cast mark, then you actually have a 97% chance of that Psychic cast going off. So I mean, that's one way to combat the unreliably. What's he taking with Angel's Exemplar? I think he's taking Armor Indomitus. Oh no, he can't take that, right? That's a good point. I was thinking he was taking that from Artisan of War, but yeah, no. I guess it's Selfless Valor and Storm of Fire. It's just worded strangely. Okay. But still, I'm not sure about Armor Indomitus on a Terminator Captain. And I mean, you know, you would probably be better off getting that Null Zone if you're worried about the AP, because Null Zone just turns off enemy invulnerable saves, which is probably going to be stronger for you than Storm of Fire. That's my opinion. Indomitus Armor for the extra wound to survive, but there might be better options. Yeah, someone said Shield Eternal. That would probably be a good one. That gives him a 5+ feel no pain. So maybe... Yeah, probably Shield Eternal instead of Indomitus, but yeah, I'm just not sure about Storm of Fire. Alright, anyway, let's see the rest of the list. So we have a squad of Incursors with a mine, another squad of Incursors with a mine, that's fine. The mines are kind of situational, but if you're deploying advanced up the board, it makes sense. And then you have a squad of Intercessors, captain with a chainsword, and you've paid extra points for the grenade launcher. I'm not sure a grenade launcher is really worth it. I mean, usually I feel like there's better ways to spend 5 points. Usually when you throw a frag or crack grenade, you're like fishing for something, you know. It's like you've got nothing else, you just throw the grenade, and it doesn't do much very often, right? Then we have a Blade Guard Veteran Squad, and this is a 5-man within the 4 damage pistol that I talked about. We have the Judicar with the Rights of War to basically grant the ability to do objective skewered. We have a Librarian Dreadnought with 2 twin Volkite Cavaliers, which I like. 8 shots out of these and 6s do mortal wounds. The Gravflux Bombard and the Leviathan Siegeclaw. I generally like this loadout on the Leviathan as well, and I feel like it's very cost effective. If you wanted to buff Inceptor's shooting, I do so on a mobile platform. Terminators are not mobile. Yeah, I mean, one way to buff the Inceptor's shooting, I guess, would be like the Redemptor using Wisdom of the Ancient, I guess. But, I mean, I guess if you're bringing in the Terminators with Inceptors, I guess we'll see when we get to the end. A very, very small Sanguinary Guard. I'm not sure what 4 Sanguinary Guard are supposed to accomplish in battles. I've tried running them in 4s in 9th edition, and usually what happened is they'd run in, they wouldn't kill the unit, and then they'd die. So, I mean, I guess that's a bit of a question mark. In my book, if you let Dark Angels or Harley's free cast, you're done. Yeah, I mean, that's true as well. That's one reason to think about including a Psyker, is just for the ability to deny psychic powers, you know. My lists usually always include a Psyker, and throughout 8th edition it was Mephiston, at the beginning of 9th edition it was Mephiston, then I moved towards Librarian Dreadnought, and at the moment I'm either going to be on Librarian Dreadnought, or I recently bought this guy, so we have a Terminator. I have a Librarian and Terminator armor as well, so that's fine. I mean, if you want in Null Zone and all that, I'm going to take Tomb of Malachor and give him Wings of Sanguinius. We then have a Terminator Assault Squad, and this is all Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. We then have an Inceptor Squad, and this is going to be 5 Inceptors with the Plasmas. So I guess on max is 6 shots per model, so potentially 30 Plasma shots. And then we also have a Hellblaster Squad. Wow, we don't see these very often. So 5 Hellblasters with... what plasmas did you put on them? Just the general plasma incinerators. I think if I was going to pick Hellblasters myself, I'd probably take the Assault version and push them up the board, because the Assault 3 plasmas sounds pretty legit. You know, if you think about it, they get 15 shots, they are like half the cost of the Inceptors. Yeah, I mean, it's just a different sort of unit, I guess. Okay. Did you update the person's name for this list? I didn't, Carrie, so thank you for shouting that out. I will... We're updating it now. Cool. Chief Librarian also allows you to take an extra power, so you don't need the Tomb Relic unless you want 4. Yeah, you only need the Tomb Relic if you want powers from both disciplines, right? Or take Hammer of Baal as a better weapon. Yeah, I mean, the Terminator Captain having a Hammer of Baal would be pretty good. Here's a lot of attacks hitting on 2s, probably wounding most units on 2s as well would be pretty useful. I do like a Terminator Captain, like he is generally quite survivable. I just think Armor Indomitus is definitely the wrong pick, and yeah, I'm not sure Storm of Fire is going to give you that much value. You're going to roll a few 6s, so you have a few shots. You know, like -3 AP. Most units are going to get pushed close to either saving on a 6 or no save, right? I don't feel like there's a huge difference between -3 and -4. If you think about it this way, most units that have like a better save than, like, let's say a 2-up or a 3-up save have an invulnerable save. So if you think of like any unit that's got a 2-up save that then has a 5+ invulnerable save, on -3 you've pushed them onto invulnerable save anyway. So yeah, I'm just not convinced with Storm of Fire, right? and you only have 5 Sangori Guard at the moment. That's fine. That totally makes sense. But yeah, I mean, Sangori Guard generally work best in squads of 7 to 9. So let me get this straight in my head. We have Hellblasters, we have Inceptors, Terminators, Sangori Guard, 2 Dreads, Blade Guard Veterans, a Judicar, 3 troop choices, and a couple of captains. Why haven't you considered, like... I mean, it's fine not to run the Chief Apothecary, but, like... The Chief Apothecary in a list like this, especially where you've got Inceptors, right? Inceptors are like, what, 55 points a model or something like that? I think that's right now, right? I think they used to be 50 and now they're 55. 55 times 5, yeah. 55 points a model. So if you had a Apothecary that could, like, you know, throw the make him the selfless healer. I mean, if you lost an Inceptor to bringing a 55 point model back alive every turn is pretty legit. I actually was playing with Terminators here, and these guys are like 40 points per model, right? Or 43, I think, is what I thought they were. I guess maybe the costs has changed. I thought it was 43 times 5. Oh, you've given them a teleport homer. Okay, so yeah, like I was bringing back a 43 point Terminator every turn, and I mean, when you're doing that against an enemy that's struggling to kill 1 or 2 of them, it can be really devastating. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess you've gone for more firepower because you don't want to have to deal with reanimation from the Necrons, and I can understand that. Reanimation can generally be a real big problem, and use the Angel's Exemplar for Adamantium Mantle. Yeah, you could do that as well as a way to get a 5+ Feel No Pain on this Terminator Captain. Blood Angels Commander, except Sangori Guard, have a 2+ and no invulnerable. Yeah, I mean, Sangori Guard are a bit of a weird place in that most units that have a 2-up or a 3-up save have some sort of invulnerable save. Artisan of War, Angel's Artifice, Gift of Foresight, Adamantium Mantle. What's CM? Chapter Master, is it? Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting list. I mean, like I think it's got bones, right? And I guess what I mean by that is like it's got a reasonably decent structure, and that your troop choices are fine. A 5-man Blade Guard with a Judicar could definitely hold and contest center objectives. A couple of Dreadnoughts give you some good fire support, and also can give you some bubbles of like rerolls with Wisdom of the Ancient. I'm struggling to see too much value in the Sangori Guard. Maybe if they drop down behind Interceptors for some sort of counter charge. But when you only have enough points for like 4 of them, I'd probably change that to like a 5-man Death Company with chainswords, and just have them drop to engage some other backfield target. Maybe if you can figure out the way to get enough points to get a Thunderhammer in there, that would be great. I mean, the way you could do that would be to drop a couple of Thunderhammers out of this squad and get some Lightning Claws in there. And we did some math on Lightning Claw Terminators like last week. Lightning Claws actually wound toughness 8 for Blood Angels at 55% chance on the charge. So, last time you used a Resurrection Orb, 17 warriors came back. So yeah, I focused my firepower this time, but Apothecary might be nice to add. Do you know what? There's something to be said about focusing fire against Necron, and then sometimes it's better to split your fire across all the different targets and try and whittle them all down, and don't give him like a good and clear choice for his Resurrection Orbs. You know, like if everything is coming down together, then that can make it a little bit difficult. Good evening, Marcel. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. So, yeah, let's think about scoring a little bit, and then maybe there's some final thoughts on the list. But it looks like chat is being super helpful today, so thank you everybody that's is in chat and answering questions. So objective holding is generally fine. I feel like you've got 3 squads of OBSEC, and then you've got the way to the Rights of War to give something else OBSEC. So I'd probably go with like a 9. I think that's pretty decent. You may have a little trouble with this squad of Intercessors if they're going to be your backfield holding squad. Like, there is definitely ways enemy units can wipe these out in a single turn, which can cost you points on your primaries. But I guess it depends on your meta. If I played against you, I have ways. I have a 5-man Death Company. I'm pretty sure we did the maths where we can do like 9 wounds to I think it was 9 wounds to an intercessor squad, or it would be 9 damage rather, not wounds. So you would have one model left with 1 hit point if I make my charge in against you from deep strike. So I guess at that point you're either going to have to deal with a morale test, or you're going to be dead next turn, or you have to fall back or something. So just be aware that intercessors don't do so amazing at backfield holding. That's why I generally recommend Phobos. I mean, the way to look at it is, right, if you had Death Company gets 6 attacks with their chainsword and you got 5 models, so that's a 125 point squad, and they hit on 3s, so they hit 20 times. They wound on 3s because you're toughness 4, so you take 13 wounds. They're -2 if it's after turn 3, which it probably would be, so you're only going to save on 5s. So 66% of those actually wound you. So yeah, you would take 8.5 wounds, maybe 9, between 8 and 9 wounds on average if a 5-man Death Company with chainswords charged your backfield intercessors. So, you know, that's not ideal if you've got 1 model left with 1 wound, and I guess if you roll badly, you could literally lose the whole squad, right? So just be aware that backfield holding, these aren't, I've used intercessors to backfield hold, and too many times someone's come in and killed them on the backfield, and it's cost me points that I just generally don't use them anymore. Okay, I mean, maybe you could transhuman them, I guess, but do you really want to be... Yeah, I mean, I guess you could transhuman them. You just need to be aware of that, that might actually be an important play to make. Okay, yeah, so what was next? Clearing and anti-infantry. Well, I mean, I guess you've got 2 dreadnoughts that can definitely do some of that. You know, this dreadnought gets about 12 shots. This other dreadnought can get 15, maybe even 20 shots. So if you needed to clear out some sort of screen of crap, you could probably do that. I mean, your incursors could also shoot as well. And I guess you've got the Inceptors that can come down and can definitely clear as well. So possibly like a solid 9 or something. Like, I don't think you're going to have too many problems with screens. And I guess up against horde-based armies, you know, the Inceptors and the Dreadnoughts, that's 50 attacks, or 50 shots right there before we factor in Incursors. And yeah, I mean, once we get into close combat, we can do even more damage as well. So I think you're fine in there. Anti-armor, Leviathans and Redemptors love other armor, right? If they ever get into combat with them, their claws are going to do great work. Your Terminators are going to do great work. Your Inceptors can do work with their guns, obviously. Hellblasters I've not really played for a while, so it's hard for me to put so much value on them. And I guess if the Librarian did have that relic to have Null Zone, that would make your anti-armor potential quite a bit stronger. And yeah, I mean, if your captain had potentially change up some of these of your warlord traits on your captain, and I guess your armor and stuff. I think there could be a bit of more strength in that captain as well. I actually do like the Hammer of Valon here, just because it's a very strong, reliable 3 damage, -3 weapon, -4 obviously after turn 3. So I think anti-armor is probably pretty strong as well. Like I think like 8.5 for that. Mobility wise, I don't think mobility is going to be a problem, but it isn't as mobile as some of the other lists that I've seen, right? You've got a lot of Terminators, you've got a fair amount of units that just don't have jump packs, so I think mobility is like maybe 7, maybe 7.5. You do have that teleport Homer on it, so it pushes it up. And then specialization, I don't think this list is too specialized at all. I think it does a bit of everything well. Maybe a little bit more... a little bit more shooting than I would normally take myself, but Leviathan Dreadnoughts and Redemptor Dreadnoughts, their claws are so strong that I don't think it matters. That, you know, like, it's hard to put all these points and just say they're on shooting, because when the Redemptor gets into close combat, his claw can do 6 damage a shot, and I think the Leviathan's claw does 3 damage. I would have to double check the Leviathan Claw. Give me 1 second. I think I've got it here. Leviathan, Siege Claw. Yeah, so he gets an additional attack for having a Siege Claw, and it is Strength 14 minus 3. So, yeah, it's hard to really put all their points in on the shooting side, right? Because when they can be super effective in close combat. Greetings to anyone just tuning in, and you gave me a crazy ideas for a future Death Company model range. Phobot, Death Company, SG. Can you manage in the shenanigans? Well, we will be getting Gravis in the backfield soon. The heavy intercessors are getting released very soon. Bring on the jump pack Primaris units, says Echo Mirage. Yes, we would love to see Primaris jump pack units. I'm surprised actually that they haven't done that, right? Like we're 3 years now into what? Let me see if I can actually find like Warhammer 8th edition release date. I feel like maybe it's 3.5 years. Warhammer 8th. I feel like it was like June. Yeah, June 17. Yeah, so we're 3.5 years in to the Primaris, and we still don't have a single model with jump packs. I really thought when they did Reavers with those grav shoots and stuff, I thought that the logical thing for me was that they were going to be the jump pack units. So I think specialization is fine. Probably pretty strong. Something like a 9 in there. So yeah, interesting list. I don't think it's a bad list, and I think it could be made a little bit stronger with a few small changes. Maybe you need to change out your intercessor squad for, I guess, heavy intercessors or infiltrators. Infiltrators obviously available now, heavy intercessors aren't. I mean, I run infiltrators every game. I would definitely consider taking another relic on this librarian to give him an additional power. Be it Wings of Sanguinius or be it Null Zone, both seem really good. Might of Heroes seems questionable. Like, I don't know who you're casting Might of Heroes on. I guess like your Terminator captain. But yeah, I mean, it seems a little questionable when I think there's just better powers that you can take right now. I mean, another option would even be Psychic Fortress, so you could give all your Inceptors an invulnerable save. Possibly a little bit of a problem with this very small man, 4-man Sanguinary Guard. Maybe a better thing to do with this list would be to get rid of these Assault Terminators, buff out this Sanguinary Guard, and get that small throwaway Death Company unit that I talked about just to pressure the opponent's backfield. And then, yeah, I just don't have experience playing Hellblasters right now. If this was me, I would be running Eradicators. I think Eradicators are super survivable, and point for point, they're still the most damaging unit that we can field, even with their changes. So it's a cool list. Alitan, I hope I'm saying that right. And I think that's a very solid score, 43 out of 50. But I think a few small changes and that could be a very, very deadly list. Obviously, I always advise when I give feedback, I guess, what you need to do probably is you probably need to play that list once or twice and listen to what I said and see if actually on the board the things that I highlighted that could be strengths or weaknesses are actually strengths and weaknesses, and if they are, then consider making some changes. That's probably what I'd advise. But I hope that was useful, and thanks for tuning in today to go over the list. Heavy Hellblasters are amazing for Ultramarines. My mate is running 8, also Dark Angels. In fact, they're actually better for Dark Angels. Why are they better? Is it because if they stand still, they get +1 to hit or something like that as Dark Angels, right? And do they get some sort of bonus to plasma weaponry as well? Yeah, you're welcome, Alitan. Thanks for tuning in. So hopefully that was pretty good and an interesting list for people to look at. So yeah, next up then we have Connor Cahill's list, and let me just double check. This is a 2,000 point list, so he's starting with a full 12 CP. So I guess was this list maybe this list was made on the new GW app, and it doesn't let you spend the CP. But like I feel like 12 CP is way too many CP to start a battle with. I don't think I've started a battle in a while with more than 6 or 7, and I've not really had a problem. In fact, in a few games I actually had 3 left and I was victorious or something like that. So 12 to me says you need to spend some more on pre-game stuff. Because like I said, usually the CP you spend pre-game are on characters that are alive for the entire game, and it, makes them stronger for the entire game. Alright, so interesting that we start this list with Corbollo, because I don't think we've done many lists with Corbollo. We do have the Librarian Dreadnought with the Wings of Sanguinius and Quickening. Fear-Made Manifest. That's a Warlord trait I have never used. Interesting, we'll have to double check this. Warlord traits. Fear-Made Manifest, here it is. While an enemy is within 6 inches of this warlord, subtract 1 to the leadership characteristics of the model of that unit, and each time a combat attrition. Really? I mean, unless he's fighting up against something something very specific that has low leadership, I don't know if I'd ever take Fear-Made Manifest. And then this is wrong, I guess, because you can't take relics on the Librarian Dreadnought vehicle, so I guess you have to remove the icon of the angel. So, Fear-Made I mean, I'd much rather take Iron Resolve. I generally think that makes Librarian Dreadnought a lot more survivable with 9 wounds and a 6+ Feel No Pain against both. It's nice to have it for the mortal wounds if you get smited, or if you have to take Perils of the Warp or anything like that. Truthfully, I hate Eradicators. They're too cheap and efficient from what they do, and there's no other unit that can replace these guys in efficiency and cost. Yes, I mean, Eradicators are very efficient and they are very strong. I mean, the way I look at Eradicators, Jonathan, is they're very much like Aggressors were in 8th edition. I don't know if you played Aggressors in 8th edition, but I played them every battle pretty much, and I always played 6 of them, 2 squads of 3, and they were just so strong. And I think Eradicators are just going to be, for 9th edition, they are just going to be really, really strong. And I imagine once we go into 10th, they will get nerfed. Okay, and then we have the Sanguinor, which is fine. I mean, I don't really rate these characters that much right now. And I mean, if you watch my stream a lot, you'll know that I just think toughness 4 characters for like 115 points, especially Corbollo with no invulnerable save, they're so easy to get for your opponent to get rid of off the board. I just generally don't really run any of them. I guess the meta I play in is all about win at all costs. So these guys will just get shot with a Meltagun in the current meta and just be dead from full health, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I really don't like that. So I'm running a lot of different characters that we can make from the options to make them in the Space Marine book, and if you haven't made any of them, then check out the videos that I do every week because I talk about them. Leadership modifying abilities tend to only really be effective when you build your list around them and have many things to do and use them. Yeah, I just generally don't think Fear-Made Manifest is the right choice on a Librarian Dreadnought. The 2 that I like on the Librarian Dreadnought are Iron Resolve, right, because I mentioned why, because you get the 6+ against all the mortal wounds. And then the other one that's really good, I believe, is Champion of Humanity, in that if he's within engagement range of any enemy characters, then you add 1 to his attacks, and each time he makes an attack against an enemy character, you add 1 to the hit roll and the wound roll. I mean, the +1 to the wound roll doesn't stack with Red Thirst, but being able to get +1 attack, especially when you're engaged with enemy characters, and the fact that he already has 4 attacks, 5 from the Halberd, 6 from Savage Echoes, 7 from Shock Assault, 1 from Champion of Humanity, that's 8 attacks. And then you can do Quickening for D3 attacks, giving him a nice round 11 attacks, hitting on 2s and probably wounding on 2s because you're strength 12 with a +1 to wound. So 11 attacks, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, and then they're all like -3 or 4, and they're all flat 3 damage. I I think that's a much stronger choice. It makes him a real good character assassinator. And I mean, I guess like up against someone like Mortarion, he's actually going to be one of our strongest melee characters because it's a bit of a doozy against Mortarion, right? Because you probably need the Librarian Dreadnought, or sorry, you probably need a Librarian with Null Zone. But if you didn't have him, then you're hoping the Librarian Dreadnought could do a lot of work. Based on that, and replacing with attack bikes and land speeders just to be an edgelord. I think that's cool, Tony. I mean, if you think about it, at the moment, Eradicators are 45 points a model. So for 10 points more, you get an attack bite that has what, 1 more wound, and I guess it has some bolter shots as well. And like we often talk about how 1 more wound usually costs about 10 points. So those little bikes with the multi-metas on them are not bad at all. I believe they're available for $8 at the moment on the Hatchet site because someone out of the UK was asking me yesterday if they could order them to me and I could forward them on to them. Because, yeah, I guess those little attack bikes are not bad at all right now. All I know right now is a hit and it can make anything fight last for 1 CP. I reckon GW might FAQ it, but perhaps not. It's suppressing fire at the end of the day. I think the Whirlwind 1 CP to fight last is fine because it's only like you can only use it once per turn. You can only use it on one model, right? So I don't think it's bad. I mean, like Death Guard have some sort of relic that can make everything within an aura fight last, and that's for the entire game. So I don't think they'll nerf suppression fire. I think if they wanted to nerf it, they already would have with the FAQ for the Space Marine Codex. Okay, so Assault Intercessors 5-man, regular Intercessors 5-man bolt rifles, 10-man tactical squad with a las cannon and a meltagun. These two choices seem to contradict each other. We've got a really long range las cannon, we've got a really short range meltagun, but okay. Death Company, and this is let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sorry, 9. 9 with an Infernal Pistol and a Thunderhammer. Is that the right cost? Yeah, that would be right. Okay, so 9 with 1 Infernal Pistol and 1 Thunderhammer. A small Sanguinary Guard, just 5-man, swords and bolters. 2 10-man assault squads. Okay, this is very strange. Especially because we've got loads of elite spaces here. We only have 2 elites in this list, so we've gone for assault squads. No jump packs or nothing on these assault squads either, right? Like it's just assault squads, and then 2 drop pods, I guess, and 2 rhinos, and an impulsor, right? This is like way too many points on transports. Holy shit! 140, 270 plus 160, so 430 points on transports, and yeah, I mean the list was started out looking okay, and then. Yeah, I just wow. This list is going to struggle. And I mean, if you are going to do something like drop pods or rhinos, I feel like you need some characters that are going to buff them. I mean, you don't even have a 9-man squad either. Oh, I mean, unless you're putting the Death Company. No, because these Death Company have. No, they don't have jump packs. Is that right? I thought Death Company. Alright, okay, so no jump pack Death Company. So they could be, the 9 of them could be in a drop pod with Corbeil. This is sometimes why it's good if you're going to submit a list to give me a paragraph about what you're thinking, or how you're thinking you're going to use this. And then I guess we could have 2 assault squads inside another drop pod or a rhino. What's even going to go in the impulsor? Like, I guess the assault intercessors? Yeah, okay, so Corbolo is really cool and works best when you have multiple units around him and you can put them into Assault Doctrine in turn 1 and turn 2. He suffers being able to use the Back to Life strat for free. Yeah, and I mean, the one other thing to say about Corbolo, I guess, which seems really strange, right, is the fact that he he's our like one character without a jump pack, and he's the character that can get us all into Assault Doctrine like early in the game. So I guess maybe the plan in this list would be to do 2 drop pods, Death Company and Corbolo, and an Assault Squad or something. But then you've got no way to reroll charges. Like you could have a chapter champion to reroll charges. Like I don't think you need 2 rhinos and 2 drop pods, because I'm struggling to see what you're going to put in all of them, right? Unless the tactical squad's in a drop pod, or the tactical squad's in a rhino. And yeah, I mean, I would. And also another thing to say is, why, for basically 1 more point per model, Assault Squads become Vanguard Vets, and they get 1 additional attack, right? And like, if I said to you, would you pay 1 more point per model in Sanguinary Guard to get 1 more attack? We probably would pay for that 1 more point to get the additional attack, even though Sanguinary Guard overkill most things with the number of attacks they get. You know, generally, I guess what to say about that is that 1 more point for 1 more attack seems very viable, or very cost effective, or something like that. Alright, I'm going to score the list, because I think it also suffers from, like, there's very little shooting in this list, so you've got nothing to really punch into some screened and or protected units in the backfield. Also, if you run up against like dreadnoughts, you're going to have problems, because there's only 1 multiple damage weapon in the entire list from what I can see. You've got this 1 Thunderhammer. I mean, I guess Librarian Dreadnought, but I mean, they could be screened out, and yeah, you might have some big problems against dreadnoughts with this list as well. And yeah, I mean, assault troops just getting 1 attack is really poor. So even with the chainsword, you only get 2 attacks per model. If you did make them Vanguard Veterans, you just basically give them 50% more damage output for 10 more points, 1 more point per model. It could be Company Veterans if it couldn't be Vanguard Veterans. I didn't realise Vanguard Veterans had to come with jump packs. Thanks for correcting me, Highland Phoenix. But yeah, Company Veterans, I think. And then, I mean, like, I would definitely drop a Rhino or a drop pod. And I mean, you've got loads of space in elites, right? So you're allowed 6 elites. You have 2 elites here. So we could totally, or we should totally get some more elites into this army, I would have thought. Elites are like our strongest thing. And also, yeah, it just feels like too many transports. I mean, it's fine to have like 1 or 2 transports, I think, but beyond that, you know, it's just 100 points that's going to sit on the board and do nothing. Like it's a Stormbolter, you know. It's going to be lucky if it kills a single Marine a turn, you know. It's probably going to be lucky if it does a single wound to a Marine a turn, right? Stormbolters on vehicles don't get to fire twice anymore, rapid fire either. So like you're talking 2 shots, hitting on 3s probably, wounding on 4s, no AP. So on average, a Stormbolter is going to take a quarter of a health, a quarter of a wound off a Marine each turn. So all the Stormbolters here, you know, 300 points worth of shooting, you're going to take a single wound off a Marine just to get some units up the board quicker. That's why there's a delicate balance here. Like 2 transports maybe, but 5 transports, nah. I mean, sure, you could maybe have some of the transports sit in objectives and try and like just generally be a nuisance, but I don't think that's a very valid strategy. This list is fluffy at best, but will really struggle against a good army. Yeah. Corbolo's Assault Doctor's Chalice ability is an aura, so it doesn't need command phase. Yeah, I mean, that it doesn't need command phase, but it does suck that he doesn't have a jump pack, right? Good afternoon, Michael. How are you doing? And if anyone is enjoying today's stream, I do really appreciate it if you do guys hit the thumbs up button. It certainly helps the channel out going forward. Right. Okay, so let's have a look at scoring on this list, and it is a little bit tricky. So OBSEC, not great. I mean, I feel like the tactical squad are going to be in a transport, so I mean, you do have 3 OBSEC squads, I guess, and you've got a couple of transports, and I guess you could drop some drop pods on objectives. So maybe we're going to say an 8. There's no Phobos troops in there, and there's no real big objective holding units either. Or I feel like the tactical squad is definitely going to be in a Rhino or something like that. Anti-horde infantry, it's going to struggle. I mean, we've got a tactical squad, but I mean that's just bolt guns, nothing special. Some bolt rifles, and then it's just got pistols, and like I just showed you, storm bolters are pure garbage. I mean, you would need a lot of storm bolters to make it worthwhile. Like, you're talking even like a Terminator squad with 5 storm bolters having the ability to use bolter discipline are still not going to do a lot of damage. So yeah, I think it's going to struggle against anti-horde. And then it's going to struggle up against armour as well, because I don't know what you're really going to use to kill your armour, bar your Librarian Dreadnought. If he dies, then you've got like a Las Cannon, a Thunderhammer, an Infernal Pistol. I mean, I guess your assault squads could use Melta-Bombs or something, but they can only use that against armour, they can't use it against monsters. So honestly, yeah, I think this is generally quite weak as well. Mobility, I guess you've got 5 transports, so I guess you get some points back on mobility. But I mean, I'm not going to award you a high number for that either, just because I don't think it's particularly optimized. And then specialization, yeah, I mean, I guess again it's too specialized, so it's like a 6 or something. I mean. So I guess the interesting thing would be for both myself and chat, what would you have to change to make this a decent list, right? Like, I mean, the troops are not too bad, and the HQ are probably okay if the plan was Corbulo and the Death Company drop down in a drop pod. And maybe it's okay if the tactical squad's in a Rhino, but then the second drop pod, I'd probably just get rid of it completely. The Impulsor, I feel like you already have 2 transports. I'd really be pushing it to take an Impulsor again, and then definitely have to drop one more of the Rhino. But if we did that, if we dropped a drop pod, a Rhino, and the Impulsor, then you have 300 points. So you have a Redemptor Dreadnought, and you have 100 points to play with to either, make your Sanguinary Guard a decent size, or take a small, like, 3-man Blade Guard veteran squad to help hold up the middle or something. But yeah, I mean, the transports could hold the objectives, but I don't think that's a strategy beyond being a nuisance, right? Like, you're not gonna win games by parking Rhinos on objectives, or if you do win games by parking Rhinos on your objectives, then I just realised I'm in 2 corners at once. What the hell? There we go. Okay. So a bit of a... Yeah, I mean, you could park some Razorbacks on things if they had a decent amount. But... yeah, I just think 5 transports. It's too many points to waste on units that are going to do nothing except be a nuisance. And I mean, if your opponent has his own objectives and he's got them controlled and he knows what he's doing, then he can probably just leave those transports alive and be like, well, what the fuck's the Storm Bolter going to do to me every turn? Yeah, why was I on the screen twice? I think I clicked the wrong thing. I mean, I could probably go on the screen more than twice. There are also most lists out there you can pop out 1 or 2 Rhino vehicles a turn. That's very true. Like, I play against a Khorne player that takes 3 Rhinos and he fills them up with Berserkers. And that's generally quite scary if you just have 3 rhinos flying towards you full of berserkers of Khorne, because they can actually fight 3 times in the combat phase, and if they do get into combat, it's a real issue. But like, I don't think assault squads are nearly as scary as that, and I don't think tactical squads coming out of rhinos. I mean, I've seen a few lists, right, where people put in tactical squads coming out of rhinos, but I feel like that's almost legacy now, right? Like, bolters are just... bolt guns, or bolters, as far as I'm aware right now, are shit, right? They're just strength 4, no AP 1 damage. I mean, bolt rifles don't do much anymore, it feels like, so bolters just do nothing. Far too many things can just shrug off a single toughness 4, no AP shot. The percentage for them is just not good. So like, you jump a tactical squad out of a rhino, let's say, and you shoot 10 bolters at them. Like, what are you expecting to do? Like, if you shoot another Space Marine squad with 10 bolters, let's assume that we're not in half range, so we can't rapid fire. You hit on 3s, you wound on 3s, and then they save on 3s. So this is how many fails they make. 1.5. So like a tactical squad, and sorry, that tactical squad doesn't even have 10 bolters because it's got a melta-gun and a las cannon. So, a tactical squad jumping out of a rhino takes 1 wound off another squad of marines, and then I guess you've got your las cannon. It's a 50-50 chance to hit because it's -1 to hit because the guy moved this turn, right? So, I see quite a few people still submit lists with tactical squads and the rhinos, and like, if they were good, I would be running them. I'm just not convinced they're good, and the math just doesn't back it up at all, right? Like a tactical squad, let me bring that back up 1 sec. A tactical squad is what? 205 points. So you're paying 205 points to do 1 damage to another Space Marine squad, and then a 50-50 chance that our las cannon... Let's say the las cannon does hit. Well, guess what? You kill, you wound that other Marine, and literally the other Space Marine squad lost 1 Marine. If I'm in a battle and you're spending 205 points a turn to kill a single Marine, I'm gonna laugh. I'm not gonna laugh, but I'm gonna be standing there rubbing my hands in joy, thinking I am winning this game because I'm sure as hell not spending 205 points plus 70 points. Or 80 points for a rhino, sorry. I'm sure as hell not spending 285 points to kill a single Marine. Like, that is the best outcome you can get from that. It's a legacy thing. If you want to run a tactical squad in a rhino, go for it, but I do not rate it at all anymore. Maybe in like 3rd edition or something, but right now, no. Alright, moving on to number 4, which is Martin. Let's just... Apparently I can't spell Martin. Let's just have a quick final look at what the score was. 36. 36 is maybe actually a bit generous there. But, I guess you just got to get with the times now, Connor. Where we are right now is, you could have a Redemptor Dreadnought and save 100 points and do a lot more damage and be really scary in melee combat. It's just tactical squads, they're not there anymore. It's very frustrating to the opponent to see a non-threatening drop on an objective having dedicated heavy fire to remove it. Yeah, it can be frustrating, but also the opponent is going to prioritise what they're doing, so they're maybe not going to waste too much heavy fire on it. Mass bolter fire is still great for dealing with weak, low point cost hordes. Yeah, maybe. I come up against a Death Guard list that's going to have shitloads of Poxwalkers in it. Then it is nice to have some bolters, but you can't be spending 280 points on a unit that's going to do nothing against a toughness 4 Marine squad. It's just not there anymore. I'm using a single minimum tactical squad when necessary. 90 points for a throwaway backfield OBSEC unit. Otherwise, I wouldn't use them. Yeah, I just generally spend the extra points and take the Phobos units. I think they're super worth it for what you have to pay for them. I saw a battle rep with BA Army that was a Dreadnought heavy in the drop pods, 5 or 6 in total. He won the game as the drop pods were left in the midfield objectives. Yeah, I mean, if what's coming out of the drop pods is crazy scary, like you said, like it's various dreadnoughts and they're going to make charges and they're going to cause you big problems, then I'm okay with it. But if you're just dropping out a 200-point tactical squad that's got one las cannon with a 50-50 chance, it's not in it for me. Okay, so Martin says, sorry in advance if I post this in the wrong place, but here's a list with them tinkering. So this was made in the new GW app. This is the format of the app, and it's 2,000 points, and he starts with 11 CP. Again, a lot of lists start with like a lot of CP. I don't ever start with this many CP. I'd almost say, like, if you're building a list, think about spending at least 1 or 2 points on Hero in the Chapter and 1 or 2 points on Relics of the Chapter. My lists at the moment are spending 2 more Relics, 2 more Heroes of the Chapter, and then I'm taking Angel's Exemplar as well. So that's 5 CP I'm spending. And then I feel like I'm spending 1 other, but maybe I'm not. But yeah, I mean, I don't think any Blood Angel... I don't think our stratagems are strong enough right now to warrant needing to start the game with 11 CP. For a little while, when we had the ability to heroically intervene with anything, then I wanted CP because, like, I loved heroically intervening with, like, Leviathan Dreadnoughts and stuff and scaring, like, you know, making it really difficult for the enemy to get in against me. But at the moment, yeah, I think that's something. Spend those CP. I start with 6. Yeah, I mean, when I do my video on my list, which will be a few weeks from now, I will show you, and I definitely start with, like, I feel like I want to say I start with 5 maybe, because I think I have a Leviathan Dreadnought in there as well, which is eating up 1 CP. Alright, so we're starting with Dante, who is fine. I mean, Dante is okay. We can build a stronger Biker Chapter Master, but I'm not going to get on anyone's back for picking Dante. I mean, he's iconic. And actually, do you know, that's funny, he's got Dante in here, but if you do have Dante, don't you get an additional CP? So I guess the GW app missed that part out. We have a Librarian with the jump pack who has Null Zone and Psychic Fortress, and we have the Sanguinary Priest with the jump pack. I feel like if you're going to give the Sanguinary Priest the jump pack, you should really just give them the Chief Librarian. It's super worth it. Then we have 3 Assault Intercessor squads with Plasma Pistols. It's fine, I guess, but I think the Plasma Pistols are a waste of points. I think there's better places you can spend 5 points. It's risky to fire on high power, always. And yeah, I mean, the one thing to say is as iconic as maybe Assault Intercessors are for Blood Angels, I have 2 squads of these guys painted up. They just don't get fielded in my lists because, you know, too often they're left in the back. You need to hold your objectives in the backfield, right? In 9th edition, primaries are so important. So if you're going to have something sit on primary objectives, you don't want these guys on your primary objectives because they only have that 18-inch pistol and they'll just sit there and do literally nothing. Couple of rerolls, then some strats. You don't need much anymore with BA as in previous edition. We don't have auto strats that need to be used. It's worth saving CP for the heroic intervention. Yeah, I think the heroic intervention, some for rerolls, have 2 CP for interrupting on charges, and yeah, do you know what? At the end of this game, I'll show you what I've been spending on my list CP wise, and you'll see it's a lot. It's a lot, I guess. So for elites, we have a 10-man Death Company, 1 Infernal Fistal, 1 Thunderhammer. I mean, that's okay. I feel like if I had 10 Death Company, I'd probably want 2 Thunderhammers, but that's fine. We have the Sanguinary Ancient, who has Iron Resolve, the Wrath of Baal, and Heroic Baron. Heroic Baron just gives his aura more range, right? And +1 to leadership. That seems like a strange pickup on a Sanguinary Ancient for me. I mean, some people would take Rites of War. I think Iron Resolve is a strange pickup as well because you're getting just +1 wound. and a 6+ Feel No Pain on a character that's generally pretty unsurvivable. The Wrath of Baal gives you the 2-inch extra move, and I guess the reason to take the 2-inch extra move here is because he's got the 10-man Death Company and then 2 10 Sanguinary Guards. So, I mean, I'm fine with that. Heroic Bearing adds 3 inches to... It just gives everything within 9 inches a +1 to its leadership. I guess because you have the large Sanguinary Guard and the large Death Company, you're worried about failing a leadership test on them. But in this list, where you're starting with 11 CP, you could just pay 2 CP to auto-pass your leadership tests, right? And if you're going to do that, then surely there's a better... could you take Soul Warden and give all those guys, a 5+ against mortal wounds? That might be good. I feel like there's maybe something else. I don't know. I don't run the Sangreal Ancient myself. I think he's overcosted at 125 points. But, I'm struggling to... he's pretty easy to kill anyway. So giving him 1 more wound and a 6+ Feel No Pain. I mean, chat needs to help me out here. Rites of War and the Wrath of Baal is probably the combo to take. Okay, and what do you think about Iron Resolve? Is there something they could swap that out for, or do you think Iron Resolve is a good pick here? Actually, you can't. If you take Rites of War, you can't take Iron Resolve. The only other thing you could take is one from the Blood Angels Codex, right? So, I mean, you could take Artisan of War and then give him the Adamantium Mantle to make him more survivable, but still, maybe Adamantium Mantle would actually be better here. Like, what is better? Well, +1 wound and a 6+ Feel No Pain, or just the flat 5+ Feel No Pain on 4 wounds? It's probably going to be 6.5 a dozen. So you could still have some way to keep him a little bit more alive, but yeah, and also I actually really don't like making this guy the Warlord again because he's so easy to kill. But the competitive list we looked at, one of the lists we just looked at this week actually, the competitive list was basically this, right? Like 3 10-man, I think it was 3 10-man Sanguinary Guard, but this is 2 10-man Sanguinary Guard and a Death Company in this Wrath of Baal, so they can jump really far forward. I just think that on some maps and some terrain, you're gonna be super exposed and you're gonna take a lot of losses. And I have had this happen to me myself on some maps that had minimal terrain, and also I've had some issues with this as well against armies that make me fight last, right? So Death Guard have that relic where everything within 7 inches of the relic guy fights last. Well, you're never going to get to charge the relic guy, you're never going to shoot the relic guy because he's always screened by 30 Poxwalkers. So that's why I don't like this. It's 1,000 points, or 300, 900, 600, 870. Yeah, it's 900. It's 995 points, and there's a chance that a ton of it can get wiped before you even get into combat. Yeah, you can take Heroic Bearing and Iron Resolve. Sorry, what I was meaning was if you changed Iron Resolve to Rites of War, you wouldn't still be able to take Heroic Bearing. I think you underrate the Sangreal Ancient in general. He's not cheap, but that's his downside. I don't rate models purely as toughness as highly as you, though. Yeah, maybe. My issue is, right, as I say, I play in a meta. You saw one of my games up against. So I play a guy, Andrew, and we joke about it, but basically every list Andrew makes, he said he puts 20 multi-meltas in now, because multi-meltas are so strong, and he puts them in reserve. So, for example, you have Sisters of Battle with they're not Repentia squads, are they? They're Dominator squads, I think. They're the ones that have the heavy weapons for Sisters of Battle. So I've had it where Dante and the Sangreal Ancient and a 10-man Sanguinary Guard have all been together, and on the side of the board, we've had like 20 multi-meltas come in. They've shot the entire Sanguinary Guard off the table, and then they've killed the characters as well. And like they've well overkilled them, right? Like I think I got like after saves once, I had 22 wounds to take on Dante, for example. So like these lists have so much shooting on them, and there isn't really any sort of practical counter to that, because you have to be in the open to make the charge. And usually, as a Sanguinary Guard or as a Blood Angels player, once your Sanguinary Guard and Dante and the Ancient all charge into unit, they will kill most of the unit, right? So then you're limited where you can go with your pile in, because you have to move towards the closest unit. So there's a good chance that you'll jump in, you'll do the killing, and then you'll be left exposed. Then all the reserves come on, and they absolutely trounce you because you're not in cover anymore. Sometimes you might be able to consolidate into cover, but you can't guarantee that, right? So I haven't had great success with huge big blobs in 9th edition. In 8th edition, 100%. I run stuff like this all the time. In 9th edition, I feel like the game plays a bit differently, and I get why people rate the Sanguinary Ancient, but I guess he's just not for me. I feel like too many times, or I have too many. I have to fight against too many lists that, like, we sort of joke within our group that, like, we call it janky, and I guess maybe you guys know the word, but it just means like dodgy or yeah, it's sort of like dodgy or not, you know, like we'll say something like, oh, I'm going to kill you because I've got all this janky shit in my list, which basically means like I'll have stuff in my list that makes you fight last, that'll make me fight first in every situation, you know, like, so we're always trying to beat each other, and we're always taking, like, someone will always have some new janky shit that they're bringing to the battlefield to counter stuff like this, right? So yeah, just too many times, like, the Sisters of Battle list, definitely I had a big problem because it was like, I'm trying to think, it would have been 4 multi-meltas, so that's 8 shots, and then in Sisters list you can take 2 Cherubs, so you get 12 multi-melta shots. So basically, like, he basically had 24 multi-melta shots coming in from reserve, and that just waxed like a huge amount of this stuff. You know, like, I lost like 500-600 points in a shooting phase, and I also played against an Iron Hands list, and it's by the same player, it's Andrew, and again we joke about it. In one of the battles on the channel, he ran 18 Eradicators against me, and we actually worked out that list had 44 melta-gun shots per turn at 24 inches, and you know, like, it's pretty fucking scary to you know, if your opponent says I have 44 24-inch melta-gun shots a turn, and I mean, like, anything that you do not have in cover, you're going to have big problems with, right? So I would rather take that one extra turn to get across the battlefield and give up those 2 inches of additional movement for the Sanguinary Ancient. And maybe sometimes it's my own fault, right? Because sometimes when you think like you get these 2 additional inches of movement, you're like, oh cool, I can go 14, so I can maybe make that turn 1 charge. But quite often it maybe makes you be too aggressive. At least maybe I find that can happen. So I like to take the first turn, second turn a bit slower. If you watch any of the battle reports on my channel, you'll see that I take those first turns slower, and then from there, so that's probably why I don't rate this. But anyway, it's fine. I'm not going to score it down for taking it. Some people want to take it. I understand that there is strength to it. It's just not how I'm playing it at the moment. And yeah, so I guess Rites of War seems like the better option here. I mean, I guess the Warlord makes sense in that you've got the Sanguinary Guard, but wouldn't you just have Dante with them anyway? So couldn't maybe Dante be the Warlord here, and force the enemy to maybe split their fire if they want to take out your Standard Bearer, or if they want to take out Commander Dante. Then we have a small squad of Outriders, and then we have a small squad of Eradicators. So I'll have to think about this for a minute. I do agree how far you go, but you don't need speed, mobility, and overwhelming offense are a form of defense too, if you ask me. You got to use those ranges and terrain to your advantage. Yeah, I mean, I think in the meta that we play in, we don't run as much terrain as recommended on the Games Workshop site, and I kind of like that because I think it forces you to play more strategically. In some of the battles that I watch on other people's channels, like I see battles where every objective is in cover, and then like on my channel you'll see like we did a battle against Necrons where all 5 objectives there was no cover on any of them, and stuff like that really makes you think and really makes you strategize, and I actually kind of like it. Blood Angels list in round 2 of the LVN is being utterly pasted, having had all the power blasted off the board in turn 2. Ouch. Ancient ran over. Yeah, no, it's not a rant. You know, I ran the Ancient for like the entirety of 8th edition. I mean, I preferred the standard. It's probably just because I still hate the fact they took away standard sacrifice. But even when I had the Ancient, I guess it was a different strategy in 8th edition in that you just had sort of your murder ball and you would move up the battlefield a bit more slowly, which maybe suits my style of play. And I know for sure, like, I have lost games by trying to be too aggressive, you know, trying to make those turn 1 charges, trying to get smash captains in turn 1 and stuff with the Wrath of Baal, and it never seems to go as well as I want it to go, so maybe that's why I stick away from it and try and balance my list around. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we get Standard of Sacrifice back until... I actually think we're strong enough that we don't need it now. But at the time, boy, I was annoyed when they took away. Don't get me wrong, I do have fast units, but I rarely going much into the opposing half. Focusing on objectives is paramount, and half of them are usually close by. Yeah, I mean, that's another reason that I don't know if I rate the Wrath of Baal overlay, is because the board got smaller, right? So, like, with a smaller board, do you really need the 2-inch movement as well? I guess there's a question there. Okay, so yeah, this list, Assault Intercessors, I don't really rate at the moment. I think Phobos units are better. I think these guys are weird in that, like, you want to push them up into combat, but then who's holding your backfield objectives? A lot of mobile, jumpy units, which I guess can do really well, but also can sort of like hinge on making the charges. I guess that's why you've got the Wrath of Baal. Seems strange that you wouldn't have an icon of the Angel then. Like, surely something else could carry the icon of the Angel, the Sanguinary Priest, the Librarian. Something could definitely carry an icon of the Angel here to give you the reroll charges as well, and just sort of guarantee a little bit more killing for this. Also seems strange you don't have the Selfless Healer, especially with all these squads of guys that are definitely going to take some losses. You can heal them right back up. And yeah, I mean, maybe even like the Tomb of Malachor to get another psychic power could be good. You know, if you don't feel like you need any more psychic powers from the Librarius discipline, you could definitely take like Unleash Rage. Give one of these 10-man Sanguinary Guards an exploding 6s. That would be pretty strong. So I think there's a lot of small tweaks you could make on this list, and I think it's generally fine. Just it's not the sort of list I play. Oh, and you did, yeah, and I guess some people have said in chat how you could maybe make the Ancient better. Okay, so objective holding OBSEC. It's a strange one. We just have the 3 units, and they're not really designed to hold objectives, so maybe like an 8. We have a decent amount of like Angelus bolters in that we would have 20 of them. We have some bike shooting, but that's really it beyond just having a bunch of bolt pistols. So potentially we could get bogged down by stuff, so maybe anti-horde infantry is like an 8 as well. Against vehicles, we have 1 Thunderhammer. We obviously have the Sanguinary Guard, we have the Radicators, but if we end up against a Dreadnought heavy list or a Death Guard list, we could have some problems in that. Do you know what? Here's another reason that the Sanguinary Guard and Ancient don't going to work so well anymore, or Death Guard, right? Like, Death Guard are going to probably do really well against Sanguinary Guard now, right? With the -1 to all their damage. And if any other factions get that as well, that's really going to hurt the value of the Sanguinary Guard. You know, Death Company with Thunderhammers and Chainswords are probably going to be a better choice for us, which is a little bit annoying because I'm sure everybody like me has like 20 painted Sanguinary Guard, but that's just the reality of it. So how's this list going to do against armor? It's going to do a little bit better, but maybe there's some. I am going to be the best person to score a list like this because I just see all the weaknesses and I don't see a whole heap of strength. I mean, I see the strength in a list like this is bouncing from terrain to terrain piece, and you know, like I've been in tournaments before where there's barely any terrain on the table. So if you had a list like this and you're up against like some sort of like decent like shooting list, then you're going to have some big problems. It depends on how much terrain is in your local meta as well, how competitive you are. At some point I need to actually play up against someone running a list like this because I would know exactly how to counter it. I don't unfortunately have any Blood Angels players in my meta, but yeah, I need to play against somebody like this, and I feel like I could beat it pretty easily. Mobility, I guess, is really good with all the characters and all the elites having jump packs. So you really just have your Eradicators and your troops that aren't super mobile. And then specialization. It is specialized in that this whole thing is a specialized, but I'm not going to mark negatively against that because I just don't play that myself. So I think like it's probably a slightly harsh score as well, because like I said, like I just wouldn't play this. But I mean, I think some people do well with lists like this, and I think Stephen over on the Vanguard Tactics channel generally does very well with a list not far off this. I think he maybe has some more Outriders, and I think someone in... I'm not sure what he uses for troops actually. No, I think he uses the Phobos units for troops because I think I got the idea of using Phobos from looking at his lists. Blood Angels tabled in tier 3, utterly misplayed, but that's the breaks. Who played the game where they got tabled in turn 3 then? One of my previous lists had a scout squad all game that just hid. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could still use scouts to just hide for like all fronts or whatnot, and yeah, it's useful for deploy scramblers or even some sort of like be in the enemy deployment zone. So I guess Martin, we're scoring you at 42 out of 50. I think it's hard for me to be objective about it because I just don't like that playstyle. I think it's, in my meta, I think it's too risky. We never have enough cover on the board that I would feel comfortable playing a list like that. I have tried lists like that, and I have seen myself. I think I played against Iron Hands, and it was one of the first games, like, because I hadn't played the game in a long time, right? Like I said to you guys, I had like a 13-year break, and I played a list that was very much like that, and I played against Iron Hands, and the guy that I played Iron Hands with, bear in mind this was a while ago, so the rules were a little bit different, but he was able to shoot approximately like 13 or 1400 points of my list off the table in turn 1, and I jumped everything forward as far as it could go, and I lost pretty much the entire army, let's say 3/4 of the army in turn 1, and I just looked at it and went like, okay, I totally underestimated how powerful Iron Hands are at shooting, we need to play this again. And you know, obviously I did better the second time round. I believe I still lost the game, but I was like, right, either there needs to be a hell of a lot more cover on this table, or like I just need to rethink my entire strategy. And I think ever since then I've tried to include, like I said a lot of the time, like I try and include probably like 400 to 500 points of heavy support so that I can still... And I don't try and gun-ho across the battlefield, because too many games I've gun-ho across the battlefield, and I think it's why I don't often Forlorn Fury as well, right? Because like Forlorn Fury, you can jump forward, you can get a Death Company in turn 1, that can be great. You can kill a key unit in turn 1, but quite often that Death Company will then be very exposed. Sometimes there's no way of catching up on them. You might lose the whole squad,
And at that point, maybe you've actually made like a negative trade. Like you felt like you did a good trade, but your Death Company cost 280 points or something. So it's actually a negative trade, and you paid CP for it to get them across the board quickly. So yeah, I think we just need to factor all those things in, and like Blood Angels definitely become stronger in turn 3. I mean, obviously the Priest now gives us a bit of way of countering that, but I do think that there's a certain value to like having some sort of shooting, be it like a whirlwind, be it like some suppressors that also allow you to cancel Overwatch, and then being able to take the battle to the enemy on your terms when you are strongest. Because quite often without Savage Echoes, and I know we can still get Savage Echoes early in the game, but quite often without Savage Echoes your guys don't do as much damage as you maybe want them to do. Tom Harris, I want to submit my list for next week. I feel like I have a good one cooked up. You can submit your list, Tom, but I'm afraid it will not be next week because we have a lot of lists that we get every week at the moment. So to submit your list, you go over to the community tab on the YouTube channel and you just post in the latest community post the list, but it will definitely be a few weeks before we can look at that. We are giving priority to members, so if you want to consider becoming a member of the channel, you can hit the join button down below and then you will get your list done quicker, but for the moment I think I'm getting like 15 or 20 submissions a week at the moment, so it's quite a lot. Okay, and then so Joe was playing the Blood Angels and he just forgot strategy or something. I wouldn't have thought he could have at least done more damage, but oh well. Stephen Box was unlikely to lose that game today. Just bad luck BA went against him. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're playing like a super experienced Blood Angels player, then they're going to know every strength and weaknesses and where to hit you. So, but it did sound like it was a bit of bad play on both sides. Okay, final list today then. Norfan sucks. Strange name, but that's fine. Nornfang. List number 5. Cool. Okay, try theorizing myself a list. If you get some space, I'd love to see your thoughts on it. Couldn't figure out how to copy it from Battlescribe, so I hand typed it. Hopefully I get to catch a stream sometime, as I'm from Australia, so they start real early for me. Okay, so at least this one we have a few relics getting costed out to begin with. We start with a captain, who is the Chapter Master, who is the Angel's Exemplar, who is the Gift of Foresight, the Artisan of War, the Thunderhammer, the Storm Shield, the Jump Pack, the Bolt Pistol, the Angel's Artifice, and the Adamantium Mantle. Cool, so this is a really tanky Jump Pack captain. I mean, I prefer the one on the bike. He is 10 points cheaper and he has 1 more toughness. And I think maybe 1 more wound, but I mean, this guy is still legit. So it'd be like toughness 5 wounds. Actually, how many wounds does a regular captain have? Is it 5? So does the bike captain not have more wounds? Let me check that. I haven't been running regular captains since I started making my bikers. A regular captain has 5 wounds, toughness 4, and a captain on a bike has 6 wounds, toughness 5. Oh shit, have I been doing this? Does Angel's Artifice give you +1 wound, or is it just +1 toughness? Adds 1 to the bearer's wounds. Oh, I've been missing out the fact that Angel's Artifice gives you +1 wound. Oh shit. Okay, so he's actually... The Chapter Master's actually 7 wounds. I was just running him as 6. Or maybe I was running the Death Company Captain as 6. That would be right. Okay, so this is still toughness 5 and 6 wounds jump captain with a 5+ feel no pain, and he obviously has a 1-up save because of the Storm Shield, so generally very survivable. Then we have a Primaris Tet Marine who is Master of the Forge, so he can heal 3 wounds every turn. He gave him a Master Crafted weapon, so his Forge Bolter does 3 damage a pop. I mean, why not, I suppose. 3 damage heavy bolter essentially with 3 shots a turn. And then we took the Sanguinary Priest with the Selfless Healer. And he is obviously the chief apothecary and hero of the chapter. Cool. He offered the Sangor Guard up on a plate, grumped them into the open middle of the board in turn 1, and then they just died. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the issue with the Wrath of Baal, right? Like, you can get overly aggressive with that. You think you're just going to jump forward because you've got that 14-inch movement, and then you can, yeah. I don't. That's just me. Okay, so 2 company veterans, and this has a Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield, a Lightning Claw and a Storm Shield, and a Chainsword and a Storm Shield. Sorry, 3 company veterans. And then the company champion, who has the Imperium Sword, and he has the Armor and Dominance. You've been watching my video on this company champion then. Cool. Good for you, brother. So this guy is a bit of a monster. Has he got, like... How many attacks does he get at that point? Is that 8 attacks? For a 70-point model, it's pretty cool. 8 attacks. Let me double check. Company champion, yes. So he would potentially have 8 attacks, and then his Mastercrafted Power Sword would be Strength 6. So wounding, toughness 5s on 2s. And he obviously, does he have the combat shield? Yes. So he has a 1-up save and a 5+ invulnerable save. Then we have 2 squads of infiltrators, one with the Helix Gauntlet. I guess the one can be deployed aggressively and can ignore the first damage roll each turn. And then 1 intercessor squad with Stalker Bolt Rifles. I guess these are, and a Power Sword. I guess these are maybe for holding a backfield objective. Maybe at this point I would just take in cursors because they're the exact same point cost. But I guess the Stalker Bolt Rifles have slightly longer range, right? So you'll be able to just do some pop shots with them. There is the one issue that you have to just be aware of, that intercessor squads on a backfield objective can die pretty quickly. But I mean, you've got infiltrators as well, so maybe the intercessors can just be deployed a bit more aggressively, but get some shots off with their stalkers. Don't forget the Tech Marine has a 2+ ballistic skill, so not bad shout for the Mastercrafted Bolter. Yeah, I am forgetting the Tech Marine. I actually have a question. Let me just jump onto this question real quick, because I didn't notice it when I was doing my video this week on the new Storm Strike, right? Like the new land speeder. And I will actually be giving away one of those land speeders on the channel pretty soon. So stay tuned for that, because that is happening. See these Storm Speeders, the Hammer Strike, right? The Hammer Strike has a 3+ ballistic skill. The Hail Strike has a 3+ ballistic skill. The Thunder Strike has a 2+ ballistic skill. I didn't notice this when I was doing my video, so I need to redo that math hammer. But what's really strange to me is the Thunder Strike has a 2+ ballistic skill, right? And then it actually has the rocket pods, which is add 1 to the attack roll against aircraft. Which I feel like is a contradiction, right? Like, would they really give a 2+ ballistic skill a weapon that is then a 1+ to hit? I mean, I know you'd still fail on a roll of a 1, right? But my question is this actually a typo with the Thunder Strike? Like the other 2 are 3s and this one is 2s, because I totally missed this. I will redo the math hammer today or something, and I'll share it in the Facebook group once it's been updated. Maybe someone in chat can answer what they think about that Storm Speeder problem. Okay, back to this list. Then we have a Primaris Apothecary. Do you really need an Apothecary if you already have the Selfless Healer? Because I mean, you couldn't use the same stratagem to revive more than 1 unit, so what's the Apothecary just doing some random healing, I guess? We have the Redemptor with the Heavy Onslaught, the Flamer. I think if you're going to take a Redemptor, I really think that the Macro and the Onslaught are better than the Flamer. I mean, there's a lot of turns that the Flamer just want to get a shoot because nothing's in 12 inches, and I don't know if you really need to be able to deny that much Overwatch with the Flamer, right? Because you have this crazy Redemptor Fist. Like, are people generally going to charge you with... Are people generally going to charge a a Redemptor with, I mean, unless they can kill it in one turn, in that case, maybe the Heavy Flamer has some value, but, like, I don't know. A lot of aircraft can be -1 to hit quite easily. Yeah, I mean, that's true, so it would give you a So do you think it's a typo, or do you think that one is actually supposed to have different stats than the other ones? It just seems strange. No, there's no war gear on it that explains why it's got a ballistic skill of 2, because when, like, one of the repulsors had that, or one of the gladiators had that, and it's actually like it's actually called out in the weapon specifically, right? Like in the repulsor executioner, it's like oh no, it wasn't the repulsor. It was the gladiator. One of the gladiators had a weapon. I think it was in the weapon. Yeah. The Gladiator Lancer. And it had an ability which is like, each time this model makes an attack with a Lancer laser destroyer, add 1 to the attack roll. Whereas like that's got nothing. Like it's just its ballistic skill is better. And I honestly think it's a typo, because like Space Marines generally, their ballistic skill is 3s, but I mean technically as it stands right now it's 2 for that. But I mean, like, you would have thought that the +1 to hit against aircraft would just be just a bonus on the regular BS of 3, right? Yeah, and I don't understand why they would want it to be better than 3+ V's flyers. They're little missile launchers or guns, except on that one storm speeder. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess it is missiles. It just seems a bit strange. Okay, so we have a Redemptor, then we have a Sanguinary Guard, and this will be 7 axes, swords, and 1 Power Fist, 1 Infernal Pistol. Sounds about fine. Vanguard Veterans, Relic Blade Infernal Pistol on the Sergeant, Thunderhammer and Storm Shield ×2, Power Fist and Storm Shield, Chainsword and Storm Shield, Lightning Claw and Storm Shield, and then a couple with just Lightning Claws. Very strong Vanguard Veteran squad here, actually. Nice. What's it? 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8, I think 7 or 8 works really well. And then we actually, just speaking about the Repulsor Executioner, well, here we have 1 Heavy Laser Destroyer, Heavy Onslaught Cannon, Twin Heavy Bolter, Twin Iron Hail, Icarus Rocket Pods, and all sorts of other stuff. What does he have that can go inside that? I mean, I guess Intercessors could go inside it, or maybe Infiltrators, but I mean, that's about it. And I guess we've got the Tech Marine to potentially heal it and give it a +1 to hit. Thoughts: Repulsor and Redemptor are my shooting units that can be buffed and healed with the Tech Marine. Repulsor could also carry Intercessors and Apothecary. I mean, if you're going to do that, then I would feel like it would be better to put Assault Intercessors in the Repulsor rather than just regular Intercessors with Stalker Rifles. Tech Marine sits inside or with the Repulsor to heal it, and he can advance with the Redemptor Dreadnought to give it +1 to hit. I generally think Repulsors for 375 points, the fact they have no invulnerable save is a real issue. I mean, they can. It's easy enough to, in the current multi-melta meta, it's easy enough to kill this in 1 turn, I would think. Chapter Master is the classic smash that can travel up the Sanguinary Guard on the board. Sang Priest would either sit with the Vanguard Vets or Sanguinary Guard, heal them and give them Super Doctrine to 1 or both with Chalice Overflowing. Infiltrators are Infiltrators, and then Cursors can sit further back with the Primaris Apothecary on an objective. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could sit the Primaris Apothecary and Intercessors on an objective, but that's 185 points. You could just sit an Infiltrator squad on there for 120 points and then have something that can move up the battle and save these 80 points in the Apothecary. Company Veterans can also screen for the Champion with their survivability, may do a few wounds, and they charge also alongside the Champion. Yeah, I mean, the Veterans moving towards the centre field of the board seems like it makes a lot of sense. I like most of this, and I mean, most of it is similar to, like, most of this seems pretty strong. I guess a couple of questions are, I'm not sure about the Apothecary, and I'm probably not sure about the Executioner. Like, I think if you want really heavy fire support, there's just probably better, cheaper options and more survivable options. The one that springs to mind instantly is a Leviathan Dreadnought will probably do just as much damage as this, and he's probably quite a bit more survivable with his Duty Eternal rule, and he's about 150 points less. So if you put in a Leviathan Dreadnought, drop the Executioner, you then have and drop this Apothecary and maybe leave one Infiltrator squad back, swap this to like an Assault Intercessor squad, or even Assault Intercessor squad. Then you potentially free up 150 points. What could you do with 150 points? Well, you could have a 5-man Death Company with a Thunderhammer. You could have a Whirlwind to turn off Overwatch and make sure your enemies fight last. You could have like 4 Bladeguard Veterans to go to the middle of the board with your company veterans. I've played a Repulsor a few times, and I'm just going to pull up its profile real quick just to double check that I have my information right, because like I said, I haven't used them for a while. But it just has, I think it has toughness 8 and a 3+ save, right? And it does have Smokescreen, but the fact that it's got no invulnerable save means that it's very susceptible to things like las cannons, and I guess people are running so many multi-meltas and eradicators right now. I'd be interested to know what happens to it if it gets hit by, let's say we've got a squad of 3 eradicators and they total obliterate it, so they take 6 shots against it, and they hit on 3s, so you basically take 4 hits, and then I guess they wound on half, so you take 2 wounds. You get no save against that, and if it's the regular eradicators, then it's basically 3.5 damage, and if they're in half range, it's 5.5 damage, and if they were actually heavy melter rifles, it's 7.5 damage. So potentially, like, one squad of eradicators could do 15 wounds in a turn. I mean, it only has 16 wounds. And if anyone's running a bigger squad than 3, then there's definitely a chance that they could kill it in a single turn with eradicators. And if they put Chapter Master buffs or rerolls or something on the eradicators as well, because I mean that's how I start my battles now, right? Like, I have 4 eradicators, and they'll start hopefully within 6 inches of the Chapter Master. Turn 1, I'll give them. I use the Chapter Master on the bike, so turn 1 I'll give those eradicators Chapter Master rerolls, then my bike will zoom off, and if we have Chapter Master rerolls and we're hitting on 3s, then we're rolling 1d6, we're rerolling 1 and 2s, so you actually get hit 88 or 89% of the time at that point. So I'm running 4 eradicators, so they shoot with total obliteration. That's 8 shots. We're hitting 89% of the time. So then we're wounding you half, and then because it's the heavy rifles, we're potentially doing an average of 7.5 damage a turn. So I mean, that's 10 wounds over your repulsor. It's dead in turn 1. If I'm in range, it's dead in turn 1 from full health. And you don't even get save against that, right? Because my eradicators will be hitting on -5 in turn 1. Because of Devastator Doctrine. So that's why I'm questioning an Executioner. They're not as strong as you think they might be right now. I think all the Primaris vehicles are struggling a little bit for having no invulnerable save, especially with everything having those Devastator Doctrines. So even if you get hit by a las cannon in turn 1, you've got no armor save against that, right? So like, I'm sure you know that some people are running those Relic Contemptors with twin link las cannons. Some people are running 2 of them, so 8 las cannons in. You'll probably look at, like, you'll take a serious amount of damage from that as well. So I think there's much better options than the Executioner, and I think if you swap that, then the rest of the thoughts about the list is pretty solid. Maybe the Apothecary is a bit of a strange pick, but overall, like, I like this list. I think both these squads are good. I probably would like to see a Death Company, and I mean, I guess you could add that Death Company if you got rid of the Repulsor. You could add a Death Company. You could even also, a couple of Redemptor Dreadnoughts is definitely an issue, or an option. Redemptors are generally very good for their points right now, so you're not a million miles away from that. You can get 2 Redemptors for that Repulsor. Yeah, I mean, like, if you had 3 Redemptors, that sounds way scarier than a Redemptor and a Repulsor, honestly. And it's 26 more wounds in Duty Eternal, yeah. And as I say, if those Redemptors ever get into close combat, they're absolutely brutal, right? So, objective holding, I guess you've got 2 Infiltrator squads, so we'll say it's like an 8.5. Maybe if you had 3 Phobos units, we'd give you a 9. I mean, you do have anti-infantry at the moment, and like the Redemptor does have a ton of firepower, but I guess we just have to be aware of how easy it is for the enemy to shift it off the board. If it was 2 Redemptors, then you would be in a very good spot. So probably like 8.5 in here. Anti-vehicle, again, you've got the Sangreal Guard can definitely do some work against them. The Vanguard Veterans with the Thunderhammers and Melta-Bombs can do some work. The Redemptor, your Chapter Master. I mean, technically, the Tech Marine could even do a bit of work with his Forge Bolter and/or like he does have that servo arm as well. So I mean, there is options there. So I think this is also maybe like an 8.5. I mean, maybe it's a 9 right now because it'll depend on how well your repulsor does. Does it survive? Does it manage to shoot all its guns effectively? It does have that heavy laser destroyer, which is strength 12, right? Yeah, strength 12, heavy 2, potentially 6 damage. And the problem with the heavy laser destroyer, I guess, is like it doesn't get... It already has +1 to hit, so the Tech Marine buff is kind of wasted on that. So if you kind of need to use your Tech Marine to buff the Redemptor, and then the issue with that is the Redemptor has a heavy flamer, which is not going to buff. So it's the right idea to think about a Tech Marine to buff these, but neither of these 2 units are actually super great targets for the buff. If the Redemptor had like the Macro Plasma and an Onslaught Cannon and the rocket pods, like this is an easy build to Redemptor, and I've got one of them, but I think you want the regular Redemptor with all the guns on it. It's only 10 more points, I think. Then that would be a good target. Again, a Leviathan Dreadnought would be a great target to give buffs to, with its, if you took like the Grav Flux and the Volkite cannons. So yeah, I mean, we'll say it's a 9 for anti-monster vehicle because you do have that strength 12 cannon that hits on 2s, but there's a little bit of questionableness around if that thing survives. Mobility seems generally good, like, and I mean, I guess you could technically put units in the Redemptor as well, so I mean, I guess your mobility seems generally good, so we'll say like an 8. And then specialization, I don't think you're too specialised, but I do think that Apothecary is wasted points for the backfield, and I don't think having 2 Apothecaries is generally super needed. Oh, thank you for sorting that out for me. So I don't think 2 Apothecaries feels generally super needed, and I don't think I just don't think you're going to have so much. Some armies your repulsor will do fine against. Some armies, your repulsor will get shot off the table before you get a chance to shoot it. And at 375 points, that is a lot to lose before you get to shoot it, right? So I guess just be aware of that. So maybe for specialization, we'll put in like a 7. So I think if a couple of small tweaks here, Norfang, and I think this could be a pretty decent list. But right now, it's a bit sad, right? Because I have a repulsor, and they're really cool models, but they're just not quite where they need to be at the moment. Big, expensive armor units with no invulnerable save. Unless you are going to bring something that gives them an invulnerable save, then you may have some problems fielding them, especially with the Devastator Doctrine and stuff, meaning that like you're just going to get no save against a bunch of weapons in that first turn. And that's not really what you want in a 375 point model. Okay, so I think that is it then. 41 out of 50 for that score. So, yeah, cool. Then I think, thank you very much everybody for tuning in this week. I hope everybody who had their lists reviewed got some value out of it. And I think I'm planning on doing a video on Tuesday again. I'm not entirely sure what that will be yet, but we are aiming to have a video out on Tuesday, and then also, as always, we'll be doing the video on Friday. If you're new here, then you can consider subscribing, because we do various Blood Angel stuff every week. Yeah, I can show what's up next week for sure, Mark. We have Mark Jackson, we have Northern Hero, we have Ian, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, Ollie, and Ray Davey. Yeah, I mean, we have just a few weeks worth of lists, so I guess if you want to submit a list, you can go over to the community tab and submit a list. Please, hit the like button if you haven't liked the stream yet as well. When the stream ends, all of today's lists will be in the stream comments if anyone wants to see them from there. And we'll have I think maybe, I know that some people wanted some Math Hammer done, so we'll either have a Math Hammer video, or maybe this Tuesday we'll have a look at that tournament winning list, and then maybe the week after, you're very welcome, Norfang, maybe the week after we'll do some Math Hammer. And he was actually in the stream earlier today. He doesn't chat very much, but he does chat from time to time. There was a guy in the stream today, Echo Mirage, I believe. So Echo Mirage hit me up on Facebook last night, actually, and what we've done is we've gone ahead and this is what we've ordered. So these are going to be a giveaway on the stream or on the channel in the near future. So we've just gone ahead and got a box of Primaris Eradicators, we've got Bladeguard Veterans, and we've got Storm Speeder. We'll keep an eye out, I guess, because once the models arrive, we'll have some sort of giveaway. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we'll have some sort of question or something in the YouTube comments, and people can put comments in, and then we'll pick some winners, and we'll get these posted out to you wherever you are in the world. So these are pre-orders, right? So I guess they won't even ship for like a week. So at some time in February, I've been wanting to do a giveaway on the channel. So there you go, Echo Mirage. He hit me up, and we're gonna sort out a giveaway. I was hoping my list was going to be on week 7. Jonathan, your list is going to be week 8 now. Sorry about that. We're now giving members priority on the lists, and I guess in the future it'll be more organised. So if I said a week, I had to push some back. I don't want to make our members wait too long for the list to be reviewed. I mean, you can become a member at any point, and I guess for the future that might be useful, but for the moment, that's where we stand. I keep getting tanked on her by Eradicators. Yeah, I don't know if you want to see my battle against Iron Hands where I played against 18 Eradicators, that might help you. But yeah, I mean, Eradicators point for point are just some of the best units in the game still. I was actually surprised Games Workshop didn't nerf them more than just 5 points a model. I think they could have even gone 10 or maybe even 15 points. I guess at 15 points, then why would you run them, and would you not just run attack bikes? So they're a bit of a... I reckon probably what will happen is in some point in the future their total obliteration rule will be either removed or changed, maybe. Maybe it'll be like... You know how they make like the repulsors now get +1 to hit. Maybe it'll be like if you focus all your shots at an enemy unit, then you'll get +1 to hit rather than get to shoot twice. That might have been a better way to have them, and then they would have been more balanced. Where's the best place to update the list? Just go over to the community tab on the YouTube channel, and just you can just put, you don't need to look for your old post. Just post it straight into the most recent. Just post it into the most recent community post that you can see. Obviously, you might not see the members only posts, but just post it in there, and I'll pick it up from there. That's the best place to put it. I mean, they'll either get a point hike, or they'll get, like I said, they'll get something changed, so it's like +1 to hit if you focus all your shots at the same target. Alright guys, well, I'll be back soon, I'm sure, and I guess if you haven't joined in the Facebook group down below, you can do that as well. And I mean, when we know about the giveaway and stuff like that, we'll definitely share that as well. So have a good rest of your Sunday. I hope January has been kind to you. Here's to a very positive 2021 after a pretty shit 2020. At some point in February, I hope to play again. I mean, I've been hoping to play again for fucking months now. But yeah, maybe in February will be the month where we play our first game of 9th edition. That's depressing that we've been a whole month and we've not played a game this year. So maybe that will be soon, and if we do, then we'll be back live and we'll be doing that as well on the channel. So have a good rest of the Sunday. Thanks very much for joining us again. I hope you all have a great day. By the blood are we made. Peace.